So time came for me to get new tyres for my car. I've had these tyres on the car for about 3 years. So bear in mind this was through the lockdown period where I didn't do very many miles. And like a lot of people, there were problems that happened to my tyre that meant I had to replace it before their natural lifespan was up. So you can see from these tyres that there was still a decent amount of tread actually left in them. Between the tread blocks, we started to have cracking around the rim. So that cracking was just getting progressively worse and it was spreading to other internal areas of the tyre. So it was really time to think about starting to upgrade the tyre and just look for some options out there. So I'm just going to talk you through the options that I was presented with and the sort of things that I was looking out for in a performance tyre for my car. And at the end, I'll show you which tyres I actually chose for my car. So the tyre is one of the most important parts of your car. It's the contact area with the road. So without decent tyres, you're not going to have very good handling. You're not going to be able to get the power down and your braking is going to be rubbish. So the tyres I had on the car were the Dunlop SP Sport Maxx. So I've used those a few times. They seem to have quite a long lifespan. I quite like the steering feel of the car as well when it had those fitted to it. So it was a brand that I'd stuck with. But in every case, every time I've come to replace them, I had this problem of cracking. So I think it was time to try a different brand. So considerations that I make really when buying a tyre is the driving conditions. I live in the UK, it's wet. It rains quite a lot here, so I needed a tyre that performed well in the wet. The most scary driving conditions I've ever been in tend to be in torrential rain, where the car had a tendency to aquaplane and felt very unsafe and unsteady. So I really wanted a tyre that was good in the wet. I also wanted a tyre that gave me good fuel economy. So there are a lot of A-rated tyres out there, but when I started looking into it, those A-rated tyres offered less grip overall. So although they were improving the fuel efficiency, they were hampering my performance. So I had to opt for a tyre that wasn't quite as efficient as it was possible to be, but gave supreme wet grip. So my tyre sizes are the 225 width, the 45 profile and the 17-inch rims. So that's quite common across the Volkswagen Audi group when it comes to tyre sizes. I had the 18s on my last A3. I've often spoke about those 18-inch rims being a bit of a pain. I quite like the steering feel of the 17-inch rims. Let me know what you think about the different sized rims, but that's just really the baseline I'm working from. So I needed to check the availability of tyres in my area. I don't like buying budget tyres from unknown brands. I like to look at reviews and look at reports really to just see the braking and handling characteristics of each of the tyres so I can make an informed decision. I'd certainly encourage you to do that. And I also wanted a tyre that had a rim protector. So that's a raised edge of rubber on the inside lip that just helps to protect your rims. So if you do brush up against a curb, it's the rubber that takes the impact rather than your metal rim. That's been quite effective in the past at saving me from some pretty nasty scrapes. I really do hate alloy rims when they've started to get scraped and scratched. So I would strongly recommend that you look to getting a tyre with rim protectors. Another innovation that seems to be pushed by a lot of the tyre manufacturers is the ability to resist punctures. There's various coatings and covers on the inside of the tyre that will basically just wrap itself around a nail as it goes into the tyre and prevent that loss of air. So they seem to be a good idea, a good gimmick. I'm always getting punctures. I find it really frustrating. Thankfully, most of the time I've been able to get it repaired locally, cheaply and quickly, but a few times I've had to scrap the tyre and go again. So I'm certainly tempted, but at the moment I'm looking at about 40% extra cost just to have a tyre that has that additional protection in it. So hopefully the cost of those will come down. It'd be great if one day we have tyres that never suffer from punctures, but I do think I'm hoping for too much there. The labelling on tyres now is much better than it used to be. So you can see that tyres now come with labelling that specifies their grip, whether they're designed for the summer or the winter, what they're like in the wet and what they're like on fuel economy as well. So Continental are a brand that I really like. I find them relatively expensive in most areas. There are a few exceptions and special offers around. The Premium Contact 6 seemed to be quite a good specification. They were certainly in my price point. They were rated A in wet weather and C for fuel economy. So they had pretty good metrics. They were up against the Bridgestone Turanza 6, which again was a very, very good tyre. It has a B rating on the fuel economy and an A rating in the wet. So it certainly was up there in my sort of short list of tyres to fit to my Audi A3. The Dunlop Sport Maxx RT2s that I've already had fitted to my car, so I wasn't going to fit them again because I had that problem with cracking and just wanted to try out a different brand just for comparisons purposes. They have a C on fuel economy and an A on wet grip performance. So a lot of these tyres are offering really good performance in the wet. The Goodyear Eagle F1 Asymmetric is the 5th generation of tyre that's around now. I really like the Eagles. They have a really nice feel. They give good grip, but I do find the life of those much shorter than other tyres. I was needing to replace the tyres because the tread was getting down to the 3mm where I like to replace them, because you start to experience problems with grip in the wet and they're starting to reach the end of their effective performance life. The Eagle F1's actually had a B rating for wet weather but an A rating for fuel economy, so I may live to regret the decision of not buying those. But what was the tyre that I actually went for in the end? Well, a few friends of mine have had these tyres fitted to their cars and they do seem to perform extremely well in the wet. They're one of the best wet weather tyres around in my price bracket and available to be fitted to my particular rim. So I went for the Uniroyal Rainsport 5s. I really like the look of the tread pattern on these tyres. So I got them fitted at home. The chap came out and fitted them. They're actually the tyre that he had fitted to his Golf R, so I'm feeling confident in my decision. In terms of fuel rating, they're a C, so I'm not really losing anything, but they are an A in wet weather performance. And they do come at the top of all the reviews that I've read when it comes to comparisons between these and other tyres in the wet. So they really tick the box of giving me the performance that I needed in the wet. They're regarded as a summer tyre, so that might indicate the tread pattern is more optimized for the dry weather as well. So I'm hoping that that will also pan out and it'll turn out to be a really good all-rounder. But the exceptional grip and handling in the wet was really what I was going for. And I've had them fitted to my car, so my initial response to having them fitted was that it's a nice driving feel. The cornering is much more stable. I've got a lot more control and I can really feel when it's breaking away. So I might just be comparing a brand new tyre with a really old tyre. So I'm going to go with it for a few months before I do any kind of in-depth review or comparison, because these are new tyres. They're still nice and shiny from the workshop. So let's see if they still hold up when they've started to wear in, and I can actually make an informed decision in sort of daily driving as to whether they're significantly better than the tyres I had. I would love to hear about your tyre choices, what you've gone for. Have you had the Rainsports fitted to your car? If you have, did they perform well? Do you find them much better than the tyres that you previously had? Let me know in the comments. This review has not been sponsored by any tyre company. We don't have sponsors, so we can speak very freely when it comes to tyre selections. And the tyres that I didn't choose, there's not necessarily anything wrong with them. I was looking at the price, I was looking at availability, and I just really like the tread pattern on these Rainsports. So far I've been quite impressed. Please boot that like button if you've enjoyed this video, because that really does help us to get out there. And if you can subscribe to the channel, we would love you to stay tuned. And I've lined this video up if you're interested in getting more performance from your car. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in this next video.